Mazda's inline-six Skyactiv turbo engine, first ever from Mazda. A lot of power being delivered out of this powertrain, but it is also extremely competitive in the market for third row vehicles. Both your expensive brands and your non-expensive brands, we're going to get into that. So this is car brand infos. Let's get into it. Let's take a look at what everybody's delivering power, whether it's a high performance version or non-performance version. But we're going to see how Mazda stacks up against the competition.
As you can see here, 323 horses with 369 foot-pounds of torque. This is the hybrid 2.5 liter. This is the Genesis GV80 with a 3.5 turbo V6 engine with 300 base horsepower to 375. So back to Mazda's hybrid 2.5 liter with the 323 and 369 foot-pounds of torque. You can see how it compares. This is the Hyundai Palisade with a 3.8 liter V6 engine with 291 horses. Mazda has two powertrains for this vehicle, the 2.5 liter hybrid, and then you'll have an inline-six turbo, 340 horses with premium fuel and 280 horses with regular fuel. This is the Kia Telluride, which also uses the same powertrain that's in the Palisade from Hyundai. These are sister companies. Now we move on, and you can see here that with 340 horses, Mazda has put this engine and this powertrain right dead smack in the middle of the competition. The Nissan Pathfinder base horsepower is 284 with 295 horses. And again, we'll go back to Mazda's 340 and 280 for the inline-six turbo, which is a mild hybrid, by the way, which would deliver better fuel economy than what you see currently on the CX9. This is the current Toyota Highlander with base horsepower of 265, 2.4 liter turbo, 4-cylinder engine. And then how it compares to Mazda's inline-six turbo with a mild hybrid system. We also look at the Ford Explorer, 300 horses base, top of the line, 400 horses. Mazda sits right in the middle of that. Now, the towing capacity is up to 5,000 pounds for the Mazda. That would be for both powertrains. Here's the Volvo CX90, 247 and 295 as far as horsepower goes, compares to Mazda's 280 and 340. Next up we have here is the Infiniti QX60, which also shares the same powertrain as the Nissan Pathfinder, 295 horses there. And again, you can see how the Mazda sits right in there with all these brands. So you're getting power and fuel economy, which is amazing. Here's the Cadillac XT6. Base horsepower is 235 with up to 310 horses. And again, you can see how Mazda's 3.3 liter turbo inline-six stacks up against this competition. Even if you're an Acura fan, the MDX, 290 base horsepower and as much as 355 for the top of the line. And again, Mazda sits right there with this powertrain. Now we see here is the Mercedes. The Mercedes GLS, it has a 3.0 liter inline turbo 6. And you can see Mazda's 3.3 inline turbo 6. Now this engine, this powertrain, I believe was dead on to compete with the Mercedes. And then here's Audi, 261 horses with 335 maxed out horsepower for the Q7. And right back to how Mazda sits right in that competition. So no matter where you're coming from in the market, if you're looking at a third row vehicle, this vehicle is definitely meant to compete. Now the BMW shows the most horsepower, 375, and maxes out at 523, and this is for the X7. The Chevy Traverse, 310 horsepower. As you can see, the Mazda is right there, again with the powertrain. So you're not going to be missing any kind of performance out of this.
It's not surprising the CX90 has power. One glance and you know it has more than enough.
There is a huge part of the exhilaration of wanting to stay in the gas pedal because you're feeling the crescendo, the building sound of our straight six engine. The longer you stay in it, the more rewarding it becomes.
A daring contradiction. A vehicle this size shouldn't handle like this, but it does.
KPC, kinematic posture control. We'll have software that monitors steering angle, speed, G-load, all these things, making you feel more settled to a corner.
Mazda's most powerful engine isn't alone. Mazda's first ever electrified plug-in hybrid delivers the same exhilaration as the inline six, with even more efficiency.
The bigger motor on the plug-in hybrid really just gives you that instant punch, max torque right away.
In the CX90, I feel focused, comfortable, connected. This is power and design perfectly aligned. Everything exactly where it should be.
Look at that, automatically adjusting for the perfect ergonomic driving position. That's because I've been pre-programmed in this car. My height, my eye line, everything's ready.
The look, the sound, the feeling, all made for me by so many others. The first ever Mazda CX90 is a cumulative triumph. Each designer and engineer leaving their mark to connect driver.
Mazda has long been committed to refining and perfecting engine technology and believes that the internal combustion engine will continue to be a key global power source for many years to come. Mazda's Skyactiv G engines form a strong foundation to build upon. These engines feature higher compression ratios than conventional engines for more efficient use of fuel and better overall fuel economy, not to mention smooth and responsive acceleration. From the building blocks of earlier Skyactiv innovations, recent developments like Mazda's inline six-cylinder Skyactiv engine advance Mazda's efficiency and performance goals. Pairing these clean, efficient engines with electrification is a key part of Mazda's multi-solution approach to reducing emissions while maximizing the driving experience.